we moved forward to England, and for some reason, Patrick went and saw Shrimataji before he left for Canada. Then Richard and Felicity went and saw Shrimataji before they went to Canada. And so after seeing my compatriots doing this, I thought, well, I guess I want to do it also. So I also went and asked to see Shrimataji and spoke to her personally in her room before I went back to Canada. I was the last one to go back home. So do you want to talk about anything you remember about that conversation you had with Shrimataji in England before you came back to Canada, Patrick?
Unless I went to see her more than once, you were with me.
Wow.
But I remember the things that she said to us, and you didn't think she was talking to you, right? And I'd been particularly concerned when we were coming back from Delhi. We were supposed to bring a bunch of stuff with us, and there were a whole bunch of us traveling, and we hadn't managed to get it through, onto the plane because of the customs or something like this, you see. And a couple of days later, or a day later or something, Warren did it without any problem. So I realized that we just hadn't been surrendered enough. It was looking like it was going to be difficult or a lot of trouble or something. So I talked to her about that, and she said, yes, you're right, you should have done it, the conversation was like that. And she said, I remember going to her feet, and she said, I give you all the powers of the universe, which she has said on tapes, means to groups of people, as she has said in talks, right? But she said this. And at another point, she said about doing Sahaja Yoga in Vancouver, she said, do whatever you think is right. So and the thing I asked her, Felicity, when we were talking about the marriage, I asked her, should I marry this girl? And she said, you have to decide. And I'm thinking, I'm like 2 months in Sahaja Yoga. and I mean, it was an easy decision for me in some ways, but at the same time, I thought it's astounding, really, that you could be expected to take it all on, and all the things that were happening.
Here we were brand new in Sahaja Yoga. I was maybe 2 weeks since my realization. And for the next 2 months, we saw Shrimataji virtually every single day, and often several, more than once in a single day, and attended pujas, havans, attended a marriage ceremony. One of us got married. So it was incredibly intense immersion in the divine realm. And then
we're going to her feet.
Yeah, and then we went to England and stayed there for some time and saw her. I saw her at birthday puja. I saw her at Caxton Hall, worked in her house, ate the food served in her house, and then each of us is talking to her individually in England. So, to start a brand new country, Shrimataji put so much attention on that first 4.
We got to England, and Shrimataji said to us, go quickly, like get married. And we had to have the civil marriage in England. And within 3 weeks, I think we only spent a month. We arrived middle of March. We were in Canada in the middle of April. It took 3 weeks to do the bands, get married and go. And she said, come and see me. Please come and see me before we go. And so we went to her house in Brompton Square, and we sat in her living room, which was small because English houses are small. And I remember that there were these chairs and a coffee table, and there was hardly any space to sit on the floor because I just, wanted to, we always sat on the floor at Mother's feet. You just didn't feel comfortable being on the same level. And I couldn't do it to start with. There wasn't space. And I remember perching on the end of this chair and then finally feeling uncomfortable. I must sit down. And so we were sitting there And she started to talk about Canada. She said, I remember her saying, you know, Canada is a good country. She said it's not like America. It's more like England. So we felt it was more. I felt her saying that there was depth in Canadians. Canadians had depth, and she said you must. She said to me, "You go and be dynamic. Go and be dynamic. You know, spread Sahaja Yoga there." And she started to talk about the Prime Minister at the time. And she said, he's a good man and you must write to him and speak to him. And then she said, I sent him a statue of Shiva. I could have been Shiva and Parvati. I don't remember exactly. And she said he was having trouble with his marriage. So I sent him a statue, but it had to be anonymous because she was a diplomat's wife. And then she reached over. So I'm sure we had cups of tea, you know, Shrimataji, the gracious hostess, would have given us tea. I don't remember so much. But suddenly she reached forward to the table and she picked up this crystal vase that was sitting on it. It's like
Yeah, the story I heard is that she took it off the mantle, but it was on the table. Okay.
No, it was on the table. It was sitting. What did you say? You heard it was
off a mantle.
Well, I'll have to ask Richard because I remembered it as sitting on the table in front. And this is it. And she said to us, I haven't given you anything, which inside you go, oh, Mother, you've given us everything. She said, I haven't given you anything. Here, you must take this. And she handed us this lovely crystal vase. And I don't know if you can see, but it actually has a couple dancing together.